Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. Today's video is going to be my look at the preview we got for our next summon showcase, Ambitions in Bloom. This showcase starts tomorrow. It focuses primarily on the flame element, and we get some new and old returning adventurers as well as a new 5-star dragon. It looks very exciting. We also got some details on the Echoes of Antiquity raid, and it looks like none of these new characters are necessarily going to appear in that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the preview trailer that posted, and then we'll hop over and look at the details for the new 5-star dragon and the 5-star adventurer. Here we go with the trailer. So, Ambitions in Bloom. You can probably tell by the art on the title, but we are going to be in a school setting. Newly added adventurers. First up, student Maribel. She's still a wand, attack type 5-star, but now she's flame element. And her first skill, Study Break, throws books at the enemy. It can also debuff their defense while dealing damage, which is great. Then she has Happy Memories with this beautiful animation with daydreams. And it deals damage to surrounding enemies. Pretty good. 2 attacking skills on her. Then Nurse Aeleen, who's a healer now, water element. Medicinal Cure looks like it provides regen and has skill shift, and Neuropathy only heals a small area, but it cleanses stun. Then we get Serena. Her Assault Flame boosted her critical rate while dealing damage, and Blazing Pain just looks like an attack. We finally get her from the Give Me Your Wounded Worm print where she was featured since the beginning of the game. Then our 5-star dragon, Konohana Sakura, looking really gorgeous in that artwork, I have to say. Flame strength of 20%, and flame skill damage of 70%, so even though that strength is small, she compensates for it somewhat with that skill damage. Her skill is called Deciduous Dance, which deals flame damage to the target and nearby enemies, and increases the damage dealt by the user's next skill by 40%. Pretty potent. She focuses on skill damage. As for the dates, it lasts until June 11th or June 12th. And yeah, that pretty much does it for the trailer. I'll rewind since we don't get details on the 4-stars before the day of the showcase release. So I'll rewind just so we can take a look at Nurse Aeleen. So Medicinal Cure, you can see that regen triggering there. And she is a water healer, which is a change for Aeleen. Really pretty outfit as well. I'm sure nurse fans and student fans are going to be happy with this showcase. And then you can see there the words, it's kind of hard to make out, but skill shift. And above her first skill, you can see a little icon that indicates there's skill shift involved. So maybe all 3 phases will heal. Maybe not all will provide regen though, or maybe it'll even shift into something that deals damage or provides a buff. And then her second skill, once again, I think it's Naturopathy, provides stun relief to Orsum there. So then we get Serena, who is our 7th Flame Sword. A lot of sword characters in the game, although she's only the 2nd swordswoman after Odetta, which is cool to see. She's a defense type, so her stat spread will probably be similar to that of Marty. Her Assault Flame increased her critical rate there, but it could be similar to Norwyn. Actually, though, they don't say this was caused by an ability, so I want to say that's probably caused by her skill. But yeah, Norwyn and Yachio kind of have us rethink these things, since sometimes there are abilities that trigger when certain skills are used. Blazing Pain just looks like it's a damage-dealing move, but the fact that she has 2 attacking skills is already pretty good. It's just that flame swords are a pretty competitive and saturated pool. Anyway, though, that pretty much covers it for the 4-stars. This showcase would be a good time to pick them up. It is easier to pick up 4-stars while they're on focus, so if either of them really appeal to you, maybe you want to summon. But that being said, let's go ahead and take a look now at the notices board information. There we go. And it does mention here that, well, it doesn't mention, I should say, that these are going to be limited. Usually it will explicitly mention if something is limited, so we're left to assume that everything here will probably be part of the normal summoning pool going forward, meaning you could pick it up on future banners. It won't be at a rate up, but it'll still be available to you. Let's talk about the 5 stars now that we're here though, starting with Student Maribel. Like I said, she's an attack type, wand, very high strength stat, definitely in the top 10, possibly the top 5 or just below that. All of the 5-star wands are up there in that level, like Lily, Lucretia, and Maribel, the original Maribel. I'm gonna make new friends at school, and it says a wand-wielding girl from the forest decked out in a new uniform and ready for school. She can bring her bunnies and squirrels along, but the bears have to stay at home. I definitely have to go back and reread her adventurer story, but I love that they've kept the smaller animals with her at least. Her first skill, Study Break, we talked about in the video. Debuffing defense is very good, even though it's only 5%. However, the fact that this is on her first skill, which also deals damage, I think at best we're probably looking at a 50% success rate for the debuff there, similar to the original Maribel. But the fact that you'll be able to cast that so frequently means that you'll probably still get that defense debuff off a fair number of times in a match. Then she has Happy Memories, which deals flame damage around her. Looks like it has a very wide area of effect, which is pretty good, could be great for something like facility events. And she has the co-ability, Skill Damage, awesome co-ability. And her first ability is drawn from the original Maribel, full HP equals skill damage of 40%. Large amount of skill damage, you do have to make sure she stays at full HP, but in general, for the endgame wind content, for High Midgard Stormer in particular, it is pretty easy for a ranged character to stay at full health. Other than some unavoidable attacks that everyone groups up to take together or spreads out to take, it is pretty easy to maintain full health, and with one healer in the composition, you should be topped off almost all of the match. She also has stun res of 100%, which makes her very well suited for that fight, and then finally Broken Punisher of 30%, which is just okay. That is the same ability we see on another 5-star wand on Lucretia. The thing about Broken Punisher is that the break state doesn't last very long, and the enemy is already vulnerable. So you're kind of adding insult to injury. It's good for speed clears and burst damage. If your enemy is just going to be broken once and you're going to destroy them, defeat them in that period with Bog or some other effects, it's pretty good. But I think that in general, other types of Punishers during states where the boss is a little more dangerous are better. It's better, for instance, to be able to deal more damage while the enemy's in overdrive to diminish that overdrive faster. That's kind of my view on it, but I don't think it's a bad ability. I think that it's just, especially on Wyrmprints, there are more competitive options. As a passive on a character, it's not the worst ability around. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as our brand new Student Maribel goes. She does have a really cute adventure portrait, so I could see people wanting to summon for her. That being said, for me, it's probably going to be a skip just because I think that, you know, everything here being part of the normal summoning pool going forward, there's a good enough chance that I'll get these units in the future, and I don't necessarily need flame units to power up my team for the raid. So now let's move on to Konohana Sakura, a dragon from Hinamoto clad in flowers. Any who receive her power bloom without limit, but she is said to only bestow it upon those she is sure will not wilt beneath its weight. Behold the petals of the cherry blossom. Like I said before, I think she's a really pretty dragon, another humanoid dragon, so I suppose we're returning to that after getting a pretty good number of more draconic dragons and some more anthropomorphic ones, like with Pazuzu. Her skill seen in the video, Deciduous Dance. Nice play on Deciduous there, I guess. Deals flame damage to the target and nearby enemies and increases the damage dealt by the user's next skill by 40%. Typically that next skill is going to be an adventurer skill, so it's just a one-off boost for that, unless somehow you transform again before you use another skill, and then you could power up Deciduous Dance. Still though, it fits with her overall theme since she does provide a large amount of skill damage, 70% to Flame Adventurers once max unbound, and 20% strength to Flame Adventurers as well. So pretty powerful altogether. I'm not sure exactly just yet how this compares to 60% flame dragons, 60% strength flame dragons like Cerberus and Agni. I would imagine those are safer investments for your sunlight stones, just because that's pretty good on anyone. The skill damage does require that the character that you're using this on gets a lot of their damage through their skills. So if you have multiple attacking skills, probably a pretty good passive, a pretty good dragon aura to confer on a character like that. Another thing to think about with this is how it affects the value of worm prints. Skill damage tends to be one of the best worm prints, but part of the reason for that is dragon auras already provide a lot of strength, so the strength you're getting for worm prints on top of that is pretty much at a diminished return. When you already have 60% strength, adding 13 percentage points to that is not necessarily great, or even 13%. I'm not sure how they actually add it. However, if you only have 20% strength, suddenly a 13% strength worm print looks a little bit better. It's actually a more sizable boost than it would be at a higher amount of base strength or dragon strength that you had. So I think that will make some interesting combinations with her. I'm going to wait to see the math and try to read from a number of sources before making a verdict as to how good she is. But I think that overall, just because those dragons like Cerberus and Agni could be used, with abandon for anyone, they're probably still pretty good picks. But for somebody like Yuden, for instance, with 2 attacking skills, the ability to buff his strength passively through Dragon's Claws and get a large amount of strength that way, I could see this being a pretty good dragon. So yeah, overall, Showcase actually looks pretty solid. I think that people wanted another water healer, but one that had burn res and could cleanse burn like Danielle, so not necessarily like Aeleen. And we already have a lot of flame swords, which means that as far as our new flame sword goes, I don't know that she's going to be very popular either. She is really cute though, and it is nice to see some of these worm prints come full circle, like that Give Me Your Wounded worm print, and now to actually have Serena in the game. I think we're just missing at this point the characters on the Flower in the Fray worm print and on the Lord of the Skies worm print, which I think is Forte. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but I think that she's from Grand Blue Fantasy, pretty popular character. So overall, I would say this looks like a cool preview. Nice to see some more alts. I'm surprised. I thought Zardan was more of a thing that we would get 3 stars that were powered up in their alts, but it looks like we're getting 4 stars and 5-star alts as well that'll be here as part of the normal summoning pool. It's definitely one where I'm going to wait until the last day, June 12th, as I do think that seasonal summer showcase could still be right around the corner. But yeah, everyone, that's pretty much going to do it for this preview. Thank you so much for watching, for listening to what I have to say. I'd love to hear what you have to say, any more insights you have about these new characters in the comments below. Otherwise, expect my banner review probably early next week, if I have to say realistically, just because I'm not sure how much time I'll have to work on it this weekend, but I'll try to get at least some coverage of the new raid out tomorrow to tide you over until that banner review comes out. Hopefully by that point we'll also have the full details, the full data mine on these characters, their abilities, skills, and so on. But yeah, that's gonna do it. So thank you once again for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.